The Temecula Valley closed sales are down, average prices are down, and it's taking even longer days on market to actually sell a property. So what the heck is going on with the real estate market here in the Temecula Valley? Are we slowing down? Are we crashing? What's happening? I'm here to break it all down for you. Let's dive in. Hey guys, I'm Andrew Lewis, a broker and owner of Performance Real Estate, and it is my passion to keep you updated on everything about the Temecula Valley, including what's going on with our local real estate market here. And I want to break down all of the numbers for you to tell you exactly what's going on, whether you're a buyer or a seller or just dipping your toe in the water to see what's going on. Here is our October 2024 market update. All right, so first up, we've got days on market. I already spoiled this one. Days on market are up across the board for the Temecula Valley. Murrieta days on market right now are 28 days average on market. That is an increase from 25 days the month prior. And Temecula has seen a jump as well, up to 27 days. That is also up from 25 days on market. So 2 to 3 days longer on the market here this last month. And so it's gonna take closer to that 30-day mark to get the home sold today. Now let's talk about percent of original list price. So how much are homeowners actually getting when they're selling that home? And those numbers stayed the same in one area and slid back just a little bit in another. For Murrieta, that number is 98.4% of original list price. And that is a decrease, unfortunately, from 99.1% the month prior. Temecula actually stayed the same this month at 98.2% of list price. So buyers, that's telling you that you've got maybe a 1 to 2% wiggle room potentially on average for a home for sale. And sellers, that's just letting you know that, during this period, we're not seeing way over asking price offers. So should help you set a realistic expectation. Let's move on to months supply. So this is the number that tells us whether we're in a buyer's market or a seller's market. Again, we're looking for 6 months supply to tell us if we are in a balanced market. Above that, we are in a buyer's market. Below that, still in a seller's market. So month supply is basically just with the current buyer demand, how long would it take for us to run out of inventory with that current demand if no new homes came to market? So for Murrieta, that number is 3.4 months supply, and that's actually an increase from 3.2 the month prior. When it comes to Temecula, that number actually dipped a little bit. So 2.8 months supply, and that is down from 2.9 the month prior. So that's basically just letting us know that there's been some leftover inventory that sat on the market in Murrieta and rolled over into this month, increasing that month's supply. And for Temecula, we actually sold a little bit more than what was listed, and so we saw a dip in that number for this month. Now let's talk on closed sales. We've actually seen a dip in both Murrieta and Temecula here, meaning that there's just been less sales activity here for the prior month. So that number is 109 closed sales for Murrieta, and that is a dip down from 118. Honestly, not a huge dip and something we may see a little bit seasonally here. And same thing for Temecula. That number is 96. And that's down from 114 the month prior. So when we get below that 100 sale mark for each of the cities, it's kind of a danger zone, just telling us that there's not a whole lot of activity going on in the market. And as we've seen a little bit more inventory come into market, if we see a drop in those closed sales, then it could mean potentially hurting the sales prices just a little bit more here in the future. And lastly, let's take a look at average sales price. I gave this one away and told you that that was down across the board as well. So let's look into if this is something to be concerned about. For Murrieta, that average sales price is $720,000. That is a dip from $726,000 the month prior. For Temecula, that number is $860,000, and that was just a dip from $861,000 the month prior. So not immediately concerned with those numbers, just looking at them right off the bat. Not a huge difference, a huge backslide in things. Now, obviously, we add that up over months and months and months, that can be a huge backslide. But this is just likely due to some more expensive and less expensive homes being sold during any given period of time. So a little bit more expensive homes being sold the month prior. And then this most recent month here, we had a little bit lower price point of homes being sold. So not a huge worried about, but we will continue to keep an eye on it to make sure that that doesn't slide month over month over the next several months, because that is when it would actually start to impact your bottom dollar. So let's break this down now as to what this means for you as a buyer or a seller, or what the heck is going on. If we looked at these numbers here initially, it looks like we're starting to see a backsliding. Longer days on market, little bit more inventory left over, especially in Murrieta. We've got average price point down a little bit, as well as that percent of list price to sales price. So initially that looks like we've got a problem here. What I'm gonna put that on for right now is that there was a little bit of a pause in the market as we approached the Fed rate cut meeting last month. So there was a ton of anticipation coming that they were gonna actually finally do the rate cut, which they actually did. But we did see a pause in the market. Nobody wanted to get into escrow on a property, lock in their interest rate, only to find that the Fed cut rates, which again, those aren't directly tied, but they do work with each other. Once the Fed cut those rates, they didn't want to see mortgage rates fall and then hurt themselves and feel like they got a bad deal on a purchase. So we did see a little bit less activity just that month because of the impending rate cut that did actually happen. Now the rate cut happened and interest rates actually didn't dip after that because they'd already started to dip in anticipation of that rate cut, but now buyers are a little bit more settled, and we've actually seen here just over the last 2 weeks a pretty steady increase in buyer activity. We're back to seeing multiple offers on some properties. Now again, looking at the percent of list price to sales price ratio, we're not seeing wild activity. We're not seeing $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 above asking price. We are starting to see a little bit more of the multiple offer scenario on some homes. So buyers are getting excited to get back into that market. And with the forecast from the Fed of coming rate cuts, another 50 basis points in November and December, so 25 and 25 is what's predicted, that could cause rates to dip below the 6% mark. And once we dip below that 6% mark, I'm telling you, you can definitely expect a boom as far as prices go. Now, one thing I will caveat that to say is the next major thing coming up is the election. And this is the time of year, every 4 years, that buyers go, I'm not gonna do anything until after the election. I'm just here to tell you, whether you are on one side or the other, it doesn't really matter. Home prices are not affected by the election. Now, over time, you could argue against that, but in the year following an election, 4 out of the last 5 times, home prices have not been negatively impacted. The only one time that they were impacted was in 2008, and it wasn't because of the election, it was because of the housing crisis and the housing market crash, not because of elections. So typically that's not gonna cause any sort of issue. So if you're a buyer on the fence right now, waiting for rate cuts and election, I'm telling you, you need to take action right now because there's gonna be another little pause here as we approach the end of October and get closer to that election time. You're gonna have less competition, you're gonna get yourself a really great deal. Now, if you're a seller, this is also telling you that we are going to start to see a pickup post-election as rates continue their way down, the next Fed meeting being November 7th, and we are expecting to see at least a 25 basis point cut, and that's going to dip those rates potentially below that 6% mark, and you're gonna see another little spike in sales activity going into the holidays. So you've got a nice little window of opportunity to get in, get a home sold prior to the holiday slowdown, like kind of right in between the election and the actual holidays, get your home sold and be able to find yourself a new home right before the holidays with a little bit less competition as well. So whatever side you're on, there's a little window of opportunity, and it's very crucial that you time it right. So if you're looking to buy or sell, give us a call. Let's time that up for you and help you create the best strategy to take advantage of these little windows that we're gonna see in the market until the very first of the year. So that is it for our October 2024 market update. Some backsliding of some numbers, but I think we do have some logical reasons for why that happened, and I do expect that we'll come back a little bit stronger here as we continue to finish out the year. If you've got any questions, feel free to reach out. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and we'll see you next time.